Hi, I'm Melissa Huntley, a professor at the University of Shimane in Japan. I study cross-cultural psychology, and one of my favorite ways to do that is by looking at media that becomes popular on a global scale, like movies, anime, and my personal favorite, video games. I discovered the Final Fantasy series through my PlayStation 2, starting with the classic Final Fantasy VII. If you're going to discover JRPGs, those late 90s are my personal golden age of games. While the graphics were cutting edge and shiny at the time, what I loved most about the game was the customizable party system. Most other games had the one main character to play as, like Link in The Legend of Zelda, but Final Fantasy gave me my first taste of freedom in making my own story and style of gameplay. At first, I experimented with different combinations of abilities and fighting styles, but soon I became much more invested in the mix of characters and their personalities. And then, towards the end of the storylines, when the parties split, I realized that some of my lesser attended to party was just so underleveled. But the whole cast of characters made the game so much fun to play, not just to run to the end and save the world, but to try and experience everything, because each individual person would have different insights and reactions to bring to the table. In my chapter, I work with Dr. Wayne Goodfriend of Buena Vista University to put into words the strength of Final Fantasy's diverse cast of playable characters. We specifically talk about a phenomenon of stereotyping called subtypes, which allows for more complicated and nuanced characters. Because of the sheer number of people in the Final Fantasy series, they couldn't just rely on the ideas of this is the man, this is the woman, this is the talking animal, because most games had several different characters in each of those categories. So the series had to give characters more nuance that would still be accepted by players from different cultural backgrounds, and using subtypes, they were able to do so. Because we break down and explain how subtypes are still under the category of stereotyping, gamers who are compelled by characters and character-driven stories will really like this chapter. People who enjoy hunting for themes across character arcs and finding the quirks that shift someone from a villain to an anti-hero, for example, will be able to use the framework that we discussed to make their own subtype identifications of the personalities they come across, not only in Final Fantasy characters and other video games, but in their day-to-day social interaction and observations. I am so happy to share the importance of my favorite part of the Final Fantasy experience that was quite unique to the series for a long time. I'm really enjoying this cultural shift from video games as entertainment to recognizing the importance and the academic quality of the stories that they tell. And I, myself, am looking forward to reading The Psychology of Final Fantasy so that I can read all the cool chapters my co-authors have written, because there's so much that can be discussed in the Final Fantasy series.